What is up, y'all? It is your girl Ashley Mateo, and I am back with a highly requested video. Alrighty, so last week I put out a poll on my Instagram. For those of you who are not following me there, definitely go claimyourmagic.co, because I will be slowly integrating myself back into that space. I will be doing polls on what you guys want me to create next on YouTube and all the kinds of things like that. So I did a poll on what you guys wanted. I think the choices were like my plan with me in relation to the planner that I started using, why I quit coaching, which if you're here, you already know this one. But the other options were reacting to manhwa and webtoons and travel vlogs. So like I said, y'all be nosy. Y'all be nosy. When I saw the results, I was like, at first, it was planned with me, it was winning. It was in the lead, and I was like, okay, cool, I already got the content. I just need to actually edit the videos. But then, yeah, y'all was nosy. Y'all want to know why I quit coaching. So let me just first say, I see you. For all y'all who voted, I fucking see y'all. Y'all nosy people. I'm playing. For most of the people on Instagram who have been following me, probably follow me for the fact that I was a coach. I had started my coaching business back in 2019, and it's really been my primary brand on the internet, because prior to that I just posted, cute pics, traveling, Instagram, those classic Instagram feed posts with like a cute little like quote caption. But yeah, my internet presence really started to show up in 2018 when I was doing health and fitness coaching, and then actual like life and mindset coaching back in 2019. But anyways, before I jump into that, before we dive deep into that, I've had this series idea in my head now for a couple months. It's been kind of weighing on my mind, and it was something that I was planning to do for the month of January anyways. However, everything kind of got sidetracked, like I said in my last video. But seeing the results of the poll, I definitely was like, I got it. I got the name. I got the name of the fucking series. And so if you're reading the caption or the title, it is Tea Time with Ash. This series is going to be primarily about my journey into entrepreneurship, my journey coaching, my journey eventually quitting coaching, and all the in-betweens of running my own business for the last 2 years. Well, it'll be going on 3 now. And, all the crazy things that have happened in between, why I started my business, getting laid off, all that stuff. So yeah, if you're ready, actually pause before we jump in, before we dive into all the hot meat and potatoes. Make sure you got your tea, you got your snacks, you got your coffee, whatever the fuck you feel like munching on, and let me just pour you the tea. For those of you who don't really want the long story, the TLDR of why I quit coaching really was that I wasn't happy and fulfilled with my business anymore. And yeah, I've kind of hinted at this in the last half a year of content. I've hinted at it throughout videos. I even talked about going to therapy, using BetterHelp. And all of this did spring from my business. So one of the biggest things was that my mental health hit its lowest point in 2021. And there was like a whole myriad of reasons why. And it is ultimately the reason why I quit coaching. So to start off, I guess for starters, I moved home. So you're watching me film all of this stuff is actually in my parents' house. And there's nothing wrong with living with your parents. There's nothing wrong with going home if you need to go home. However, it definitely has stifled my creativity. It stifled a lot of my creation process, and just, being an empath, I just feel like I carried a lot of everyone else's energy, feelings, emotions, whatever you want to call it, with me, and not having a proper place to to expand anymore. And there's nothing, like, I'm not trying to like knock my parents or my family or anything like that, but it's just not conducive. Like, this environment that I live in is just not conducive, especially when I first moved home. For those of you who don't know, I lived with my grandmother in this house who has Alzheimer's, and throughout the process of being in the pandemic, her mind deteriorated severely, and it honestly brought out the worst parts of her sometimes. And sure, like, it's all okay in small doses, but if you're like always in the same house 24/7 for a whole year, it like fucks with your head, okay? And it definitely affected each and every one of us in the house differently, and it definitely hurt my soul. And it really interfered with my creation process, with my business. And I just started to see, like, you know, when I first started my business, I was laid off from work. I'm gonna go talk about this in another video in the near future, but basically I got laid off in 2019 at the end of September 2019 from my office job, from my government state job, and I felt called. It was time. I was ready to finally venture off into the entrepreneurial space. I'm finally ready to start the business of my dreams, and I am not knocking anyone who has made this choice and succeeded or is thinking about this choice. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think there's a lot that has to go into creating a successful business, a sustainable business, that I don't think I took into account until I went through all of this. And so I started my business, and I was living on my own, or rather I was living with my boyfriend for part of the year until he moved to Taiwan. And you know, that was like the beginning of my business, was, you know, living on my own, having my own space, having my own creativity, my own energy, just, you know, this is mine. I mean, obviously my boyfriend lived with me, but like his energy vibe with my energy, that kind of stuff. However, you know, we traveled to Taiwan, and I feel like that is when my business boomed the most. Like, I was traveling, I was living my best life, you know, I was doing the things that excited me so much. And even through the difficulties that happened throughout traveling in Taiwan, it like opened me up the most. It expanded my perspective of the world, and it made me see that there was so much more, and that I could coach in so many different ways. You know, for those of you who were there from the beginning, I used to be Uncaged Boss Babe, and that was a persona that I needed to take on at that time. And then, you know, later on, back in 2020, I had to change my name for legal reasons, and it was perfect timing, honestly. And that's when Claim Your Magic came into play. And at that time, it was amazing. I was traveling, and then I came home, and that's when shit really changed, and it just added up. It just slowly but surely, all the little things that, yeah, it didn't add up, or it added up, and ultimately really made my mental health suffer. Dealing with other people, living with other people again, as well as, you know, seeing my business deteriorating because I just could not find inner peace. I could not find, you know, I was just not in a conducive experience, in a conducive environment for me to fully expand and be my fullest version. And so it reflected completely in my business. It reflected in the money that I was making, because all of a sudden I didn't have any new clients. All of a sudden, every offering that like lit me up, no one was signing up for anymore. And it really got in my head. And it started to really build up at the beginning of like the summer last year, like June. June was finally the time that I decided to go to therapy. And I kind of talk about it a little bit in my BetterHelp video. You can go to the link in the description below to hear about that. But I was just constantly burning out from my business, and I didn't really understand why. And it came to a point where I just felt so hopeless within myself. I felt like there's nothing I can do to make my life better. There's nothing I can do to make this business better. I have tried so many times. I have made so many offerings and no one fucking wants it. What is wrong with me? You know, I had that feeling of like, what is wrong with me? And I started suffering from like really severe like anxiety, and I could sense myself falling into depression. Like, it was really personal. And I think like a lot of times, yeah, like the entrepreneurial journey is going to be really testing you. Like, I look back now and I'm like, entrepreneurship is definitely the biggest personal development journey, or like part of my journey that I've ever been on. Like, I feel like I learned so much, not only with like products and services and like softwares and tools that I use for my business, but like really like having to look at myself and being like, I'm enough, or reflecting on why do I think this way? Why do I feel like this is not enough? Why do I feel like my business is not working? Like, what do I need to change? What, you know, like all these things play through my mind. I put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed in a monetary way because, I don't know, I guess society, the external world loves to validate you and make you feel like you're good enough, that you're successful enough when you make a lot of money, that you make a substantial amount of money, and that you can do all these things. And yes, I think money is important. We live in a 3D world. You know, as much as I can say love and light, spiritual things, we live in a 3D world that still requires us to feed our bodies, to find a safe place to sleep at night, you know, and all kinds of other things. And that requires money at the end of the day. So unfortunately, that is the reality of life. And I felt like I was inadequate because my business was not making the monetary success that I was expecting it to 2 years in, which is not a long time. So yeah, it was definitely a wake-up call for me, and I think that was like the real breaking point for me and why I decided to get off of social media. Or I was still on YouTube, but why I decided to get off of Instagram, because I just started to compare myself to all the other coaches in the industry that I follow at that time. You know, seeing them make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, $1 million launches, you know, like I know like intellectually, I'm like, they literally have been working on this like business for several years, or some of them weren't, you know, but at the end of the day, like I was still just like, why can't I be like that? I've been doing this for 2 years. Like, what the fuck? Why am I not seeing the success? Why am I not feeling abundance? Why is my bank account dwindling? You know, like everything was just like spiraling really crazy. And so I made a choice to get off of Instagram because, like they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And, you know, I felt like a failure every time I would scroll through social media. I just felt like a failure. And you probably would never know that, like just from how I share things online. Maybe you might know, maybe you're intuitive and like maybe you have some like psychic abilities and you could read my mind, but I really tried to put on a happy face. I really tried to put on, you know, looking at the positive side, but there's only so much you can really do to like rewire your brain to think the more positive thought before you get to the point where you need to face that shit. Like, you really gotta face the shit that like makes you feel like shit. Like all that inner work, that's where it comes out, because I had to get off of social media because it hurt being there. And the more I tried to put myself out there, the more I could just feel myself like shrinking. And I know, and that was like the moment of like, remove myself from the equation. It's time to remove myself, leave this place, and I'll come back when it's time, whether it's in 2021 or 2022 or whenever, but I need to get myself away from this place. and really focus on myself and what I can do right now. It's funny because, you know, I'm back on Instagram now, but I'll be really honest with you, like, maybe I'm just really jaded, but like looking at people, like people's posts that are like inspirational, you know, high vibe, like infographics type shit, or like, you know, pretty picture with a caption that's inspirational or motivational, like that shit like makes me roll my eyes. Like, you already see it, I'm like fucking rolling my fucking eyes, because to me it just like, I'm so over it. I'm fucking over it. Maybe it's probably just because I have burnt myself out, but I have literally no intentions of reading those captions anymore. Like, it makes me want to throw up. Like, like, please stop. Please fucking stop right now. I don't want to hear it. I don't need another person trying to make me feel happy. No, thank you. I think maybe this will change over time, but I think right now I'm in a place where I need to really focus on what is going on here and really listening to myself more than ever. And so, yeah, that's kind of like the long story about the emotional aspect, right? And so when it came to that, like I said, money was dwindling, the funds were low. I'm grateful for credit cards because it got me through paying for my therapy. It got me through paying for a business coach, because those two things helped me so much with my mental health. You know, I found resources, you know, I found these resources to help me on my journey in, you know, first of all, validating my feelings, knowing that it is a stressful thing to run a business. Real talk. Don't try and bullshit that one. Running a business is hard. If you don't, if people are saying it's not hard, I don't know. Y'all are crazy. But for real, like, I had to really validate the fact that like I was having a hard time, and I had to validate the fact that it's okay to have a hard time with running a business. And so, yeah, I made a choice because, like I said, bank account was dwindling. So what can I do right now to shift to make money? Because clearly I am not in a space to be on social media anymore to sell my services. I need to focus on me. I need to do my thing. And so that's where I decided to pivot. And I was like, what skills do I have? Okay, I have everything that a coach needs to run their business. And so that's when I really decided to shift into virtual assistant work. So that was probably August, September of last year, 2021, where I finally decided to try out virtual assistant work. I was like, you know what? Doesn't hurt. Let's see what happens. And so I went on this website called Upwork, and I had joined it. I didn't realize this, but I had joined this back in 2019, and I must have did this when I was starting my business, and I just never went anywhere with it. But I found gigs pretty quickly. And it's funny because like the first gig that I got hired on for was to be on a guy's talk show talking about mental health and like some coaching techniques. So it was pretty easy. It was like $15, but like it just told me like from there, like the universe was going to take care of me. I genuinely felt like, okay, maybe there is hope for me. Maybe I'm not hopeless. Maybe I can find a path forward that doesn't require my heart and soul the way that coaching did, and that's okay. And so from there, I got hired on to help a woman. I don't know if she's a coach, but she's like in the spiritual guidance world, and she needed help for a program that she was putting out. She needed some help with creating workbook templates, and so I made some workbooks. And from there, I realized I could focus on course creation, course migration, course optimization, and it all just kind of fell into place from there because I got hired on to help a small business run a camp. I helped with another coach migrating all her different courses into Member Vault, and now she is in full launch mode for another program that she's hired me on for to help her. And yeah, the opportunities have been falling into my lap like crazy. Those were just some of the top ones that I've been working on right now. But it's really reaffirmed for me that I am a valuable person, that I am not hopeless, and that people are willing to pay for my services. And I don't necessarily need to be a coach anymore. And this is not to say that I won't coach in the future. There is a high possibility that in the future I will go back to coaching. However, for as long as that I feel like I'm going to be here in this physical space, I can't. I honestly can't. And that's just kind of it. Like, I know it sounds really stupid for the reason that I quit coaching, but your energy is everything. Who you surround yourself is important, and the environment you put yourself in and keep yourself in is also very important. And this is really what the series is going to be about, is really just telling you like the behind the scenes, not so cute parts of running a business, or maybe things that maybe you're curious about that, you know, no one has ever talked about. For example, I have an idea of creating a video about courses and programs that I got certified in to be a coach. For those of you who don't know, you don't need any certifications. It's kind of scary thinking about that in the coaching industry. But yeah, this whole series, Tea Time with Ash, is really just literally spilling the tea on my experience as an entrepreneur, a soulpreneur, a coach, mentor, guide, whatever you want to call it. So anyways, that's really it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this and want to hear more about all the tea that I will be spilling, definitely hit the subscribe button and make sure you have the bell on so that you don't miss any videos from me, because yeah, I have a lot of things that I want to say. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I already stopped recording. Clearly, like, I am already putting things away, but I wanted to add one more thing that I think is important to share. That, you know, throughout this whole process of running a coaching business and deciding to pivot into virtual assistant work, course creation, and whatnot, something that my boyfriend tells me, or had talked to me about when I was, you know, deciding all of this and feeling like, you know, this was my passion, this was my purpose for so long in my life, you know, something that I wanted to do even before I started coaching. Like, it was on my heart for years to be a coach. And, you know, last year was like I don't want to say burying the dream, but having to, say goodbye to it for now. And, you know, something that he said was like, you know, coaching is just a vehicle to your ultimate mission in life. And I've known you for these years of you before you built your business, and I know that for you, you are about helping people succeed in this world. You're here to help support people and lift them up and make them, you know, feel good about their life and that kind of stuff. And it's true. And he's like, and that's the mission. Coaching is just one vehicle that accomplishes said mission. Virtual assistant work is equally as much of a vehicle as it is coaching. Like, just because you work behind the scenes now, you're not the one running the show, doesn't mean anything less, because you're helping someone else make their vision happen. You're helping somebody else realize that they can do so much, that they can focus on the ideas that want to be birthed within them to put into their business. And that is exactly what the energy, the soul to my mission in this life is really helping people, supporting people, empowering people to live their best life, to do the things that light them out. And I get to work with amazing people. I work with so many brilliant clients, and seeing their beautiful talents, their skills being showcased, I guess is the word I'll use, with their business. And I get to support them with my own skills. Like, at the end of the day, I love doing course creation. I love loading shit into Teachable or whatever platform and making it look nice. I love designing shit on Canva. I love doing all this stuff. So like, there is nothing less. And it makes me happy at the end of the day. And that's really all we're going for, is making sure that I can have that happiness and, you know, make the money. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, if I will continue on with virtual assistant work, or if I'll go into coaching or whatever. But I'm choosing these paths for myself, and I'm not just doing it. I'm not doing things just to make other people happy anymore. I'm doing this for me. So that's all I really want to leave y'all with is, you know, if you're in that space right now of doing the things because that's what's expected of you, don't force yourself into that hole. It's time to wake the fuck up for yourself and decide who you want to be, how you want your life to be, and how are you gonna fucking go get it. And if you don't know, sit with yourself, sit in the silence, stop watching Netflix, YouTube, whatever, stop playing the games, stop going out and partying all the time, and get really real with yourself and sit with yourself and realize, what the fuck is it that I want in this lifetime? So that's just my 2 cents. My little coaching moment just came out, but you know, I think these are all important things. So I'm just here spreading my knowledge. Hopefully this touches somebody and helps them on their journey. So that's really it this time. I love you all. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.